see in my lifetime, never have seen in my lifetime. It's all happening, bringing us back to a pre-1960s world. It's jaw-dropping what's happening. It was jaw-dropping what Governor Landry did. He suspended a primary election where tens of thousands of people had already voted. Why? To redistrict 2 districts to eliminate black representation. I can't believe that we're experiencing this. My parents talked to me about this. I said, well, thank God it's not going to happen on my lifetime. And it's happening in real time. Anti-woke is anti-black. All these attacks on DEI, it's anti-black. Level of racism is sick. Rewriting history, censoring historical fact. A number of African Americans have been eliminated from key positions and posts. The Pentagon and elsewhere, it's sick. It's happening in the United States of America in the open. And it needs to be called out. So forgive me for reacting this way. And I feel a deep responsibility to do something about this, and nothing to do with me as governor, just as a human being. This is not why our founding fathers lived and died. It was about the expansion of liberty, expansion of freedom, including more and more people. And we're seeing exactly the opposite take shape under this administration.
And maybe what keeps you up at night. You said that you hope that the state will continue its historic investments in, again, this coverage for undocumented immigrants, but is there any concern that...
I'm concerned about that. That's an easy place for people to go. We made significant investments. Yeah, I mean, of course I am. I'll make a case for it. I'm making a case for it. That's why we didn't, we had to deal with reality, deal with the cards that are dealt. We had to slow down that growth, and we did. And but we'll make a case for it. We have universal health care in this country, regardless of pre-existing condition, ability to pay, and regardless of immigration status. We have it. It's called the emergency room. And we're paying on the back end sick care. I believe in universal health care. I ran on it. I did it as mayor of San Francisco. I ran on it as governor. And so no one could be surprised about my point of view. And I've defended it. And there's a whole cottage industry out there attacking me because of that advocacy. Trying to balance all these concerns as I balance the budget, and trying to do it in a way that I think is consistent with my values and the values that we hold dear in this state.
Governor, on that advocacy, you mentioned just now that you did run on single payer when you're running for governor. There's a number of candidates now who are debating. It's become quite a big issue in the current Democratic field, of which you have not endorsed. What's your advice for the next governor?
Well, seek first to understand before you're understood. CalRegs comes out of our strategies. The first executive order I drafted comes out of our strategies to pursue single payer purchasing. We created a task force. We created a framework and a plan that was just highlighted, created a commission in this space. And we laid out a lot of progress. It's been promoted and discussed here today in terms of advancing the principle, but you have one giant impediment, and that's besides ERISA. You got challenges getting a simple 1115 waiver from the current administration. So I think that may be a bit of a stumbling block. It's not an indictment on a principle. I think single payer is inevitable in this country, period, full stop. The healthcare system is simply devouring the public sector and devouring the private sector budgets. There's no alternative from my perspective. I call total BS on all the fake tinkering that the Republican Party claims or some new idea and proposal that's coming out next week. Donald Trump. For 10 years, he's been talking about that since he came down the escalator. Nothing in this space. I appreciate and applaud what Nancy Pelosi was able to achieve and what President Obama was able to achieve, what President Biden was able to achieve in expanding the support, and what we're doing here in covered California that I think is next level, and what we did to advance even further and beyond. But I do think the system itself is simply, you talk about structural problems, it's inevitability. So the question is, can a state do it? The state cannot do it alone. It's going to require a level of partnership and largesse of the federal government that is not in evidence, that is not an indictment of the vision, the proposal, the direction that some of the candidates are promoting. I intend to share it. The question is, can you do it? It's going to require, as I said, it cannot happen without the largesse of the American people, Congress, and the president. And by definition, it requires significant waivers and reforms at the federal level. And I assure you, on the basis of the efforts when I was governor, working in the beginning of my administration with then President Donald Trump, who immediately rejected our outreach on many of these waivers. There's a lot of letters I'll remind you of, some that were responded to, some that weren't. And I think it's even more challenging now in that respect. I just think you may want to have if that's the only strategy you have for healthcare, you may want to have a backup plan. That's all. Even though it's the right, I think, and inevitable. It will be inevitable in this country. No question. Question of when, I don't know.
UI debt that the state has to the federal government, any movement? I know
I know I'm 0 for 2, and I decided maybe I didn't want to strike out 0 for 3 this year. But look, it's got to be addressed. It's real. It's something we had to deal with during the Schwarzenegger administration, and only comparable example. And we were able to pay it back, claw it back over the course of years. We're doing that. I think 668.3 or some odd million in the interest on this. And so it's real. And we've directed, there's some language in the budget specifically to direct our workforce agency on some creative strategies and solutions to address it. I don't want to leave the next governor without those considerations. So there's going to be a series of recommendations and proposals. But at this stage, based upon my conversations yet again with the legislature, and the inability, even when we had more resources to move, we just, it's not reflected here in this proposal, and it's incredibly important.
What you said about redistricting, you said
What about
it's a responsibility to do something.
Yeah,
you have a plan.
Well, I can't solve for everything, but I just want to call it out. I just feel like Prop 50 was a big part of it in terms of pushing back what happened in the Supreme Court. 4-3 decision in Virginia was extraordinary. It was equally extraordinary that Ron DeSantis announced his maps on Fox as a Fox exclusive. Next day, without any real debate, they approved them. Contrast that to Virginia, that went through a very deliberative and transparent and democratic process. What just happened in Tennessee is sick. The governor just did there. What's happening, Landry's doing. What's happening in these other states. So this is my state of mind. Is this is what I've people in the past rightfully said. Well, he's crying wolf. He's overstating all these things. Well, I may have been understating the importance of Prop 50, the importance of pushing back, importance of fighting fire with fire. These guys are ruthless. They're not screwing around. They're, rewriting history, censoring historical facts, and they're bringing us back to the Jim Crow era in terms of African-American representation. It's sick. So we've got to be aggressive. We've got to call it out. I'm surprised it's not more dominant in our national discourse. We're so damn distracted by every true social, and it's understandable. And, all this, understandable outrage. But this is happening on our watch. And so I'm one of our, and in my watch included. And I feel a sense of responsibility to respond as I've responded. Good people can disagree. Maybe, curious people would disagree. I don't know. But most good people would agree, I think. They see their eyes wide open. It's just about power, period, full stop. Speaker Johnson.
Whew. Sorry. Had to go take a tinkle. Welcome to another edition of We-On-Loc Nation channel. There seems to be an issue with my laptop every time I go live. So until that gets fixed, I'll just be using my phone temporarily. Because every time I go live, it just starts whistling to me. And I think I know what it is. It's the battery. So, and then on top of that, had to go fix my water pump out of my car because the fluid kept draining out of it. So that's more money. So, but nevertheless, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. It's a Saturday night. It is May 16th. Almost my wife's birthday. And I'm here with the kids. So like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. There's some things I want to go over real quick. One, Donald Trump just came back from China. Ooh. So I guess we better cover that news.
There's a lot of things happening for the farmers. He committed to 200 Boeings, big ones, 777s and 737s, and a lot of big ones, big, beautiful Boeing planes, 200, that's a lot. With a commitment that if they do a good job, and I told this to Boeing and General Electric, we're going to go to the General Electric engine, which is great. Yeah, if they do a good job, we could go up to 750.
And that's obviously a lot of investment going back and forth. Some Democrats, even some Republicans, had some concerns about Chinese manufacturing on U.S. soil. Is that happening?
Well,
if you want him to be president,
tariffs, it could happen, just like it's happening.
That'll be your business
and companies. We have now more money being invested in the United States than any country at any time in the history of the world, including China, which probably is second from about 10 years ago. We have $18 trillion in 11 months, not the 12th month hasn't come in yet, the numbers. We have $18 trillion. If China wants to come in and wants to avoid tariffs, if they build here, for the most part, they're going to be hiring American people. If they want to avoid tariffs, they're going to build in the United States.
Despite concerns about China operating inside the U.S.
Look, we have Japan is building massive Toyota, Honda, all of them. I mean, they're building massive plants all over the country. So if China wants to build for their cars, now, I will tell you, I put 100% tariff.
Are you hearing clearly what Trump is saying? He says if he wants China to build in the U.S., or he's going to have to hire, they're going to have to hire American workers. Let's be honest here. What makes you think China wants to even step foot in the United States? The majority of them wants to step foot in the United States and build in America when they can build in China.
On Chinese cars, because I didn't want them coming into the country. If you take a look, only because they swamp you, they'll destroy your auto industry, and that's what's happening in Europe. And now they're saying we have to do a little bit like Donald Trump. Europe is being killed. They're being absolutely swamped by hundreds of thousands, millions of Chinese cars, and Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen, they're getting killed. So if you notice, we haven't had that problem. You know why? Because I have 100% tariff on cars made in China.
And even though the Supreme Court ruling, you're going to still continue that tariff.
The ruling was just on a specific type of tariff.
And you're going a different route.
Correct. I have the right to do the same tariff in, frankly, a little bit more complex way, but it's actually a better tariff. It's a more stringent tariff.
I want to ask you about Iran and AI, but China made clear that Taiwan is very important to them. And after your first meeting here, President Xi's spokesman put out a statement to the media, through the media, saying this: the Taiwan question is the most important issue in China-U.S. relations. If it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Otherwise, the two countries will have clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. You were still inside the meeting when that came out. That sounded almost like a threat. Was it communicated that way behind closed doors?
No, it wasn't, not at all. But it has always been their most important issue. And it's not a takeover. They just don't want to see this place, we'll call it a place because nobody knows how to define it, but they don't want to see it go independent. They don't want to do it. And I think they probably would do something pretty harsh, and then they would be met harshly, and bad things will happen. No, it's not that. We talked, by the way, last night, we talked the whole night about that issue. I think I know more about Taiwan right now than I know about almost any country that
dominated the...
No, he doesn't.
The talk.
It's always been his most important thing from the day I knew him years ago. I've known him now 11 years, 12 years. It's always been the biggest thing for him, Taiwan. Now, with me, I don't think they'll do anything when I'm here. When I'm not here, I think they might, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure that they do anything if it remained as is. But they have somebody there now that wants to go independent. Well, it's a risky thing when you go independent. They're going independent because they want to get into a war, and they figure they have the United States behind them. I'd like to see it stay the way it is. And I'll tell you something. I'll make a little news. I'd like to see everybody making chips over in Taiwan come into America because, to be honest with you, I think it's the greatest thing you can do because it's a heated situation. There's no question about it. And as you know, we have massive amounts of chip companies now
I
from
agree.
Taiwan already coming in. We expect to have 40 to 50% of the world chip business by the end of my term. And I think it should be even more than that. I think all of those chip companies, if they're smart, they're going to start heading to Arizona and the places where they're building. That's going to solve your problem.
Should the people of Taiwan feel more or less secure after your meetings with President
If you want him out of office, you better vote in November.
Has the policy changed at all?
No,
You've been
nothing's
warned.
No, nothing's changed. I will say this. I'm not looking to have somebody go independent and, we're supposed to travel 9,500 miles to fight a war. I'm not looking for that. I want them to cool down. I want China to cool down.
But you're waiting on approving billions of dollars of weapons for Taiwan.
That's right.
Is that
I'm
moving
hoping.
forward?
Well, I haven't approved it yet. We're going to see what happens.
What are you looking
I may
for?
do it. I may not do it.
Yeah, what's your hinge point?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I may do it. I may not do it. But we're not looking to have wars. And if you kept it the way it is, I think China's going to be okay with that. But we're not looking to have somebody say, let's go independent because the United States.
Wait. Hopefully I'm wrong. I really wasn't paying too much attention because he babbles all the time. Did he mention a war with China? Yes or no? Did he mention going to war with China? I hope he didn't. I don't feel like rewinding it. Did he actually mention that? Okay. Just thought so.
States is backing us.
So President Xi probably liked that you haven't approved the weapons to Taiwan.
I would say like is maybe too strong a word because he thinks I could do it with just the signing of my signature, unlike Biden who couldn't sign his signature.
God, leave Biden alone.
Depends on China.
I don't like the prick, but leave him alone.
For us, frankly. It's a lot of weapons. It's $12 billion. It's a lot of weapons. But, when you look at the odds, China's a very, very powerful, big country. That's a very small island. It's, you think of it, it's 59 miles away. 59 miles. We're 9,500 miles away. That's a little bit of a difficult problem. With all of that being said, if you look at the history of Taiwan, Taiwan was developed because we had presidents that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Because if they would have put tariffs on chips coming in, they would have never left. Everything was about Intel, and everything was about our chip companies. They stole our chip industry. So I've said that for years. I said, for years they stole our chip. If we would have had one of our presidents just say, we're going to put 100% chip. You can leave, you can build in Taiwan, but you sell it back into the United States. We're going to put 100% or 200% tariff. We would have never lost the chip. We lost the chip industry. It's all coming back. And I do say this, Taiwan would be very smart to cool it a little bit. China would be very smart to cool it a little bit. They ought to both cool it.
On AI, was there any agreement about any kind of guardrails that China and the U.S. might agree to so that AI doesn't go crazy?
Well, we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. Look, AI is mostly a great thing. Mostly. And we're leading China. We talked about that. We're leading China by a lot. I gave the right for AI to build their own electric producing plants. That's a big deal. They can manufacture their own electricity now, which we could never have gotten from the grid. And now you have these very rich companies headed by lots of geniuses building electric plants. Because of that, we are leading China by a lot in the AI race. Now, it's mostly the two of us. Other nations are in it, but mostly. And whoever wins the AI race, and we're going to win it. I mean, if we're smart, we're going to win it. If we're not smart, we're not. But we're leading by a lot. We talked about that last night. President Xi was very surprised at how well we've done.
I said he does a lot of babbling. That's what I said.
And we now we are substantially ahead of them in AI.
But do you think there'll be some buy-in, set up guardrails or
I
something?
think there could be. We talked about it. But, at the same time, we're competing. So it's a little hard to say, oh, gee, we're competing with each other and we're going to put guardrails. It really doesn't work that way too much. But AI, if you look at medicine, some of the things they're coming up with medicine, some of the cures they're coming up with that people would have never gotten there, it's going to be mostly a good thing, but we want to have some guardrails.
You said that the President Xi said he would offer assistance on Iran, and specifically,
I also said we don't need assistance.
you didn't ask for it. You said that
No.
he was offering it specifically. What do you think he will do?
I think he's been very nice about it. He gets 40% of his oil there. He didn't send anybody. He didn't send ships. He didn't send ships with big fat guns on them that we would have had to repel. We would have. The good thing is I built, during my first 4 years, the most powerful military in the world. We have the most powerful military in the world. That was
No, you don't.
Venezuela, which took 1 day. Actually, it took 48 hours. I mean, it took, about 48 minutes. I
The war in Iran is 75, close to 80 days. Should have been over in a week. We are at 74 days. And we have the most powerful world? Question mark.
It was 48 minutes and 13 seconds, and it was over. And it's a strong country with a strong military, but it went very quickly. And now, by the way, we have made a fortune with their oil. And so they've made more money in the last 8 months than they've made in the last 10 years.
Why are you checking their pockets?
We're really, participating in the profit.
Venezuela, but I mean,
Venezuela.
Iran is
No, it's a different kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But we're doing probably almost as well as, I don't know how you can do better. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. It's all destroyed. Their Air Force is destroyed.
But yet they're talking a big game. They're
talking a big
BRICS.
game.
Iran's foreign minister said the
They're
strait
not talking a big
is
game.
open to commercial shipping only if they cooperate with the Iranians.
They're
I
not
mean, how does
talking a
that-
big game. You know who's talking a big game? The fake news media. If you read the New York Times, you would think that we're losing militarily. Think of it. They have 159 ships. Every one is now on the bottom of the sea. Gone. They had mine droppers. They call them mine droppers. Nice thing. Who has 22 mine droppers? And mine droppers are all gone. Now they have what they call fast boats. You know what they are? Runabouts, like you'd buy for your fantastic son if you wanted to buy him a nice boat, and they put a machine gun on it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for that information,
Most of them are
Richard.
knocked
Thank
out.
you.
Come out just like we knock out the drug dealers.
You like to talk about cards. It seems like they're playing with a bad deck, to your
They have
point,
no deck.
but they're still playing.
No, the only thing they have going is fake press. They know how well we're doing militarily. And then, at the request of a very group of people from Pakistan who are very close to Iran, that I didn't go that final. They said, could you stop? We're going to make a deal. And we really had the confines of a deal. No nuclear. They were going to give us the dust, nuclear dust, everything we wanted. And every time they make a deal, the next day it's like, we didn't have that conversation. And that's taken place about 5 times. There's something wrong with them. Actually, they're crazy. And you know what? Because of that, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Because
Blah, blah,
China
blah.
agrees with you on that. And
he
that's-
agrees with me on that. He agrees with me that he wants to see it end. He'd like to see it end. He would like to help. If he wants help, that's great. But we don't need help. And you know the problem?
You're a lie.
When somebody helps you, they always want something on the other side. That's the way help works.
It's hard to believe, but
But you were asking for help a long time ago. And now you don't want the help.
How do you get to a solution there?
Oh, we'll get 100%.
You think so?
Well, we're going to have a solution one way or the other. It's either going to be violent or not violent. And I far prefer nonviolent.
Obviously, you've
By the way,
explained.
You're a liar.
You've explained why you did what you did because of the nuclear threat for Iran. But
Well,
no,
it's
it's obviously not Venezuela. It's different.
Well, it's different. But
You did say it was going to be fairly quick. And you
here's the
said it
difference.
numerous times.
Venezuela was sending drugs in at a level.
What the hell does that have to do with the
It
question?
was a terrible mortal sin. They emptied their prisons into our country. Okay, that was terrible, and that was different. This one is, I guess you could say, worse. That was pretty bad. You don't get much worse. Emptying your prisons, drug dealers, murderers into our country, that's pretty bad. But you could say this is worse. In this one, they are trying to make a nuclear weapon. I've stopped it twice. They would have had it 2 years ago. They would have used it already on Israel and the rest of the Middle East. Look at all the missiles shot at people that didn't think they were even involved. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Look at all. I mean, Bahrain, Kuwait. They got all shot at. Nobody thought they were even involved in this thing. They would have used a nuclear weapon on the Middle East. One thing I'll make clear right now. They said very.
We know,
I
Richard.
deal with them. I said we're taking.
We hold on.
You can have it.
Hold on a second.
I said,
we know, Richard. He says plenty of things that comes out of his mouth that he doesn't know what he had said the first time. Sometimes he repeats it, sometimes he doesn't repeat it. And other times people have to remind him. He gets upset. He gets upset at reporters. He got upset at the last reporter. He is too dangerous. You have to make a primary decision. Do you want to see this man for the next 3 years make decisions on the economy which he hasn't touched yet? They already asked him about gas prices. He says nothing. Nothing but a bunch of babble. Continue.
we're going to go get it. We're not going to let you take it. They said, we can't take it. We don't have the capability of taking it. I said, why? I said, because it was hit so hard. I mean, the mountain literally collapsed on it, a granite mountain.
So why isn't that good
Just
enough?
so you know.
I mean, if your goal was to set back.
It is good enough, but you know what? It's not good enough public relations wise. It's important, it's important. It's probably good enough for a different reason, though. Space Force, which I created, has got cameras, 9 different cameras in space on that site. We know everybody that moves there. We can read the name of a person. We can read if his name is Mohammed something, and most of them are Mohammed, you can guess, about 50% right. We can read his name right on his tag from space. It's the most amazing thing. Anybody that goes near that space, we have it tagged. They haven't done anything there. And if they did, we would hit them very hard. So 2 days ago, and speaking to the Iranians, they told me it was hit so hard. They actually said that there's only 2 countries that could get it.
I miss you, Barb.
Right.
They said us and China, that they didn't have the capability of getting it because
The proof is
it
on
was
the
so
screen.
obliterated.
The liars on the screen.
The fake news said, oh, maybe somebody can get it. They actually said if they wanted to get it, they couldn't. So
Oh boy.
that's not good enough for me. I want to get it.
So why are we where we are? Did you underestimate the pain tolerance that Iran
I
has?
didn't
for this?
underestimate anything. We hit them unbelievably hard. Look, we left their bridges. We left their electricity capacity. We can knock that all out in 2 days. 2 days, everything. We left Cargill.
You hear what he's saying?
I said hit it except for the valves where the oil comes out. Because when you hit that means you're going to lose a little oil. But one thing is happening, amazingly. Ships are floating up to Texas and Louisiana, and they're going to Alaska, and they're loading up with oil like we've never seen before.
Americans
And
want to
people-
know when it's over, though, right?
Yeah, look, Vietnam lasted 19 years. Iraq was like 10 years. Korea was 7 years. Another one was 14 years. Another one was 12 years. Another one was 9 years. We were in there for 2.5 months. The other thing they talk about, so we lost tens of thousands of soldiers.
You know what this is saying?
Yeah.
You know what this is saying? This is saying that he doesn't give a shit about America. He doesn't give a shit about America. He just wants to play with wants to play with the toys. He wants to play with the toys in the sand. So all he gives a damn about is just playing with America's military forces. That's why he was kicked out of the war room. You cannot do this to American people. I will be here tomorrow for sure. Oh, by the way, go see Michael. I encourage all of you to go see the movie Michael. It is a 10 out of 10 for me.
No, we lost tens of thousands of soldiers in practically every war. I've lost, and I wish we'd lost none, because I know those parents. I spoke to them. We lost 13 soldiers in 2 wars.
China got 3 tankers out this week filled with Iranian oil.
Because we allowed that to happen.
You did.
We allowed that to happen.
Before this trip. Gas prices in America are still high, painfully high.
They're going to drop like a rock as
Once
soon as
it's over.
Yeah.
Painfully high though now, and could be.
It's been 74 days, asshole!
Right. And much lower than people thought they'd be.
This inflation number is going up. You're right. It's much lower than President Biden's was, but it's going up under you. The numbers are. You can imagine Democrats and political pundits jumped all over this statement that you made the other day. You were asked when you were leaving.
To what extent are American financial situations motivating you to make this move?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters without talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about American financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Who says something about proof? Who says something about the proof? There's your proof. There's your proof here, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I don't give a damn about the economy. All I care about is them not having a nuclear weapon.
That's all.
That's right. That's a perfect sample. I'd make it again.
But you can imagine how many people stop the soundbite at, I don't think about America's financial situation. So what's your response to that framework?
It's very simple. When people hear me say it, everybody agrees. Short-term pain. It's going to be short-term pain. But the pain is much less than people thought. Because people thought that the oil would go up to $250. You know, it was $99 yesterday, $99 a barrel. I thought it might go up to $200.
We're at $5 a gallon, you asshole!
But you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. They will use it on us. They'll
You're stupid!
The Middle East wipe it out. It'll go to Europe. You know, they have a missile that goes to Europe.
This is stupid!
They have a missile that goes to Europe. I have done Europe a very big favor. When you tell somebody you're going to have to pay a little more, not that much more, a little more for gasoline for a very short period of time, because we want to stop the threat of being blown to pieces by a lunatic, by a crazy person. And
You're playing with American people!
He says that's fine. And that question was a fake question, and they didn't put my full answer.
It's like getting stung by a fucking bee. No, let me take that back. I shoot you with a gun. You're going to die. The hospital, the ambulance comes to take you, and you sit there and say, wait for traffic. Wait for traffic to clear. Dude, I have minutes. I have to get to the hospital. Dude, just wait. Calm down. Relax. You're going to get there. No, I have seconds before I die, before I pass out. I already lost 10 pounds of blood. I'm going to die. Get me to the goddamn hospital. No, we good. We good. Just wait. Just wait till the thing clears. Flatlined. You're going to flatline. And even when you flatline, you still have seconds for them to revive you. You may be revived, and again, you may meet your maker. But you have seconds. Oh no! Wait! Don't wait! Wait till the thing clears. Okay, you can revive him now. He's playing with American lives. I totally care. This is your president.
Carried at high prices. And they came in with the word affordability. My first press conference, 2 days in, and Biden didn't do press conferences. He'd go for years without doing because he was incapable of doing it. He was an incompetent person. But my first question was about eggs. Eggs have quadrupled. What are you going to do? I said, eggs? Tell me about eggs. Tell me about the problem. Eggs have gone up 4 times. They said, I'll take care of it. By the way, I did take care of it. But they came up with a word because they are good. They're rotten with policy. They're horrible politicians. In many cases, we have a new name. They're Democrats. I call them Democrats, not Democrats. They're Democrats. A lot of low IQ people. You have
How many are done with this conversation?
She was referring to World War II.
Let me know.
She said, World War.
How many are done with this conversation?
These people are destroying our country, and we have to stop it. You know, President Xi said something yesterday. He talked about, and he wasn't referring to the last 15 months. He talked about America's a nation in decline. And I said, you're right. But he wasn't talking about, because he said, what you've done in 14, 15 months is a miracle.
When you hear Trump voters, Alex says, I voted for you 3 times. He can't handle the costs. And he's not for this foreign conflict.
I hate it.
He's not for the foreign conflict. But Roy in Pennsylvania.
Hold on a second. I'm a Republican, and I voted for you 3 times. I voted for peace, not for news war. I supported him because he promised to put America first, rebuilding the country, lowering costs, and to keep us out of foreign conflicts. In my view, he broke these. Everybody, say it along with me. Say it along with me. Say it. Say it. Say it. Promises. Here's your proof. Here's your proof. You want proof? Here's your proof. And this is coming from Alex Max. I am a Republican. I will read it once more. I am a Republican. I voted for you 3 times. I voted for peace, not for news war. I supported you because he promised to put America first, rebuilding the country, lowering the costs, keeping us out of foreign conflicts. In my view, he broke those promises. Ladies and gentlemen, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? I tell you, he is a criminal. He is a war criminal. He is more than that. But more importantly, he is a common fool. He is going to get America killed. Do you understand what the comment and what I'm trying to tell you?
3 times. He can't handle the costs.
No.
And he's not for this foreign conflict.
I hate it.
He's not for the foreign conflict. But Roy in Pennsylvania, he's a retired farmer.
Voters in Pennsylvania, swing states, districts, wait on Donald Trump's gas prices and the war in Iraq. Roy Strokachter, 66 years old, says he's voted for Donald Trump. He voted for Trump and backs the war. He's not happy about the cost of fuel going up. He says he has been disappointed and the inflation has continued in the 1.5 years since voting for Trump. And you want me to say what to this? I mean, most of us are quite tired at this point. This is an ongoing thing. Only question is when Trump meets his maker, will he call him? Probably not Mr. Satan. He's too Mr. Satan. I can give Mr. Satan credit. I can give Mr. Satan credit. He's an idiot, but in the end, he gets things done. And he helps out a lot. Mephisto, I don't know too much. I haven't seen Ballo. I haven't even played the game yet. I heard it was fire. I heard it was fire.
He can't handle the fuel going up, and he says
It's going to come down very fast.
And
Well, look, I'm disappointed.
I'm just telling you
When
what
you
they
say
say.
to him, Roy, Alex, we got a problem. We just hit the highest stock market price ever. By the way, then when I went in. Now, again,
It's higher.
with the war, it's higher than it was when I went in. Think of that.
I agree.
The 401ks at their all-time high. There are more people working right now in the United States of America than at any point ever in the history of our country.
Detroit Free Press, a state that you won.
No, they're not. No, they're not. It was a little bit lower when it went in. A little bit higher, a little bit there. Now it's much higher. He said, why not take it a little bit higher? American ain't gonna, bitch and moan that much. It's been a year and a half, dude. I've grown a lot of gray hair since then. I've grown a lot of gray hair since then. Even J.D. Vance is repeating the same lines that you were just stating. He is not a good vice president. But I fear this. Let's just say they impeach his ass after November. Is JD going to smarten up? And he's going to rule under his own administration, under his own kind of distance or whatever you would call it? Or is he going to perform the same bullshit as Trump? That's your option. That's your option. And to tell you the truth, I don't know democratically who is going to be worthy of the Oval Office. I can't tell you. Unless Kamala runs again, I don't know. I've heard Gavin Newsom. He sounds smart. There's something there that's telling me, hell no. Hell no. I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom. And I'm sorry, and I'm not voting for AOC either. Sorry.
While champagne flowed on the trading floor and President Donald Trump celebrated record highs, pessimism spread like wildfire outside Wall Street's doors, straight into the kitchens of average American families. There is this sense that, something is changing. Whether they can hold on and believe that you're going to get them to know.
Brett, I have to do what's right. I said to my people, we just hit 50,000 on the Dow. That wasn't supposed to happen for 5 or 6 years. I did it in my first year. We just hit 7,000 on the S&P. That was even less of a chance than the Dow. It was just announced 401ks are at their all-time highest that they've ever been. All these things happened, and I said, I'm sorry to do this to you, but we have to stop this group of very crazy people. Now, those people are gone. They've been eliminated. The second group has been eliminated, and some of the third group. In a way, we've eliminated so many leaders that it's almost, I'm trying to figure out who the hell are we dealing with, all right?
Who are you dealing?
At least he's owning up people were conned. They use some CIA propaganda type, narcissistic type of something. No, I'm not going. Nope, not going. As a long-lasting Republican, I voted without hesitation for Jasmine Crockett or I I'll cry to the heavens for Jasmine Crockett. Email, email, IG, calling her offices, that plane that you can put like a sign and it just, you can see the sign, vote for Jasmine Crockett for president of the United States. Just let that thing just with her. I would send a bird. I would definitely send like a hawk or a bird or whatever with a message on his foot going through her window and just leaving a message. I would literally do that. Because again, there's no one credible. I gotta get to this Justin thing in about a little bit. This is the thing that I was talking about when I said go young, right? You have to go young. Trump is what, 79, 80 years old? Biden is what, 83 and senile now because of his disease. They let another old ass president, they let another old ass candidate in there. I'm gonna lose my mind. Straight up. Whenever MAGA sits down on their butts, brain damage is Richard, don't do that. Don't do it. Send me $2. Send me $2. Or I'm gonna ban you for that joke. Send me $2 on the check, and I'm gonna ban you from that fucking joke. Don't you think they'll try to impeach Vance right away if they use I believe is it the 22nd? Barb, is it the 22nd or is it the 25th Amendment? It's either one of those, 22nd or 20, either the 22nd, the 25th, or the 26th Amendment that you can excuse both Trump and JD. It's the 25th Amendment. That's what I thought. 25th Amendment, both Vance and Trump, yeah. But it has to go through the House. Has to go through the House. And then if it goes through the House, then it has to go to the Senate. Then I think it has to go through the Supreme Court. But with them jokers, I don't know.
But, well, we're dealing with people that I think are right, but they're afraid to make a deal. They don't know how to make a deal. They've never been put in this position before.
So you're going to hold out until they do.
Well, I'm going to do what's right. I have to do what's right.
But the strait should be open, right?
You're going to hold out. See, this is just what I need to know. This is all I need to know. If you are going to hold out, that means the American people, black, white, otherwise, are going to suffer. What reason might they have to try to impeach Vance immediately? What reason might they have to try to impeach Vance immediately? We'll see. We'll see. Right now, there are 6 red states and 1 black blue state. That's all I know. They're going to have to create, the Democrats are going to have to create more seats, more and more and more seats. And when they do create these seats, Democrats are going to have to be in those seats, along with trying to get 4 more seats for the Supreme Court. But let's not forget, everything else goes through the smaller courts too, not just the Supreme Court.
It should be able to look. See, to stop the strait is very easy. All they have to do is we dropped a mine in the strait someplace. See, we're at a little disadvantage, but that's okay. The strait will be open. They will not have a nuclear weapon, and the world will go on, and you will see gasoline prices drop. Energy prices generally drop like nobody. Don't forget, they have a lot of boats that are loaded up with oil that are going to bring the oil out as soon as this is over. And I think it's going to end fast. They've been holding up the world for many, many years with the strait. They've used this many, many times. They said, we'll close the strait. They've closed it in the past. They use it as a weapon. They're not using it as a weapon with me. And what they did, and actually what President Xi said last night, sort of smiling about it, he said, well, they closed the strait and then you close them.
But you think they're going to capitulate sometime soon?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I have no doubt.
Mr. President, stand by if you would. Special report from Beijing with the President of the United States continues after this.
No. Let me tell you a little small story, which everybody can look this up, but I'll tell you. Trump, from years back, tried to, and I believe I told you this, tried to own, let's see. Bye, Barb. Tried to own and control 3 Las Vegas hotels, casinos. One would happen to be the Taj Mahal. The other one would happen to be that big thing that I usually look at when I go out my door. It's called Trump Towers. He doesn't own Trump Towers. Taj Mahal hasn't been in effect since 30, maybe 40 years before I even got there. Before I even came here. Right? So what makes you think that any deal, if any deal, another deal, any deal is going to get made under him that is going to be successful? Think about it. If he went bankrupt, if he got his gamer license, if he got his gamer license taken away and his alcohol license, what makes you think that any deal is going to get made under him? I would rather, at this point, put Kamala, I would rather put him in charge. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I would rather put her at charge at this moment because, quite frankly, it's Dunzo. It's Dunzo. It's a wash. You're gonna the gas prices are soaring. It's already $6 not in Chicago, LA. It's already $6 in LA. I don't know about Chicago. I used to live in the Midwest, the Midwest of Michigan. I don't know how much it is up there. And it's lonely. It's like a ghost town. So I don't know how much it is. We went shopping today, and the cost of water is $5. Well, it all depends on what package you get. We used to get those small little, you have to get those small little packets of water. And those small little, almost, half this size, cut up half this size. We have 6 of those for $3. 6 for $3. You ain't gonna get these anymore. You're not gonna get these anymore, people. Not for a decent price. You're gonna say once the war is over, which the war is not going to be over, because guess what? If he does what I think he may do, guess what Iran's gonna do? And what not Pakistan, who am I thinking? Russia. What Russia is going to do. And since China can't get their shit through, what makes you think that China's gonna put up with Trump's bullshit? So you got Russia, China, Pakistan, and Iran on your ass. And by the way, that whole bullshit about a U.S. having most the greatest army ever, per se, that may be true here. But in China, they are more disciplined and more put together than the United States right now. Sorry to say, folks, it is what it is. You fucked up when you let this bitch in office. Y'all fucked up. And now you got to live with the consequences of him being in office and fucking up your economy. And everybody can go, oh, he is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, he is the greatest thing since Ronald Reagan. That's a lie. When are y'all gonna stop with the inky? Stop putting the Trump incubator in your mouth. Look around. Look at everywhere. The Dow may be up and down. The Dow may be up and down every time you go into your stock market. The Dow is going like this. When Biden was in office, at least when Biden was in office, it was a stray. It was actually working. But under Trump, not so much. What the hell else is going on in the news?
Liberals, and said that the order was inappropriate and that it will cause confusion as voters head into the polls in the next week's election. The decision hands yet another victory to Republicans just days after Virginia's Supreme Court struck down a measure that would have allowed Democrats to redraw congressional maps in their favor. Virginia Democrats are now asking the Supreme Court to reinstate that map.
Oh, by the way, has anyone heard anything about the Epstein reports or anything of that concern? Are they going to release any more of those files? Because they still hasn't released any files yet. Oh, you thought I forgot? No, we didn't forget. They haven't released all the files yet.
Seems like a bit of a Hail Mary pass there on the part of Virginia Democrats. But the broader issue is that, especially when you look at what's happening in Alabama, there's already voting underway in that state. They are planning to toss out that map, go with a new map that favors Republicans, eliminates a district. And then you have the President Trump, sending a message to South Carolina, your home state, Bakari, saying the South Carolina State Senate has a big vote on redistricting. He says Republicans beat
for 8 years as a sign and a symbol that this is the last thing we're doing for you. And we won't be doing anything else for Black people ever. So y'all going to take these 8 years of Barack Obama and y'all can celebrate, y'all can meditate, y'all can congregate, y'all can do whatever y'all want. But once Obama's gone, we will never again do anything for Blacks. So they gave you Obama to give you the illusion of inclusion. They gave you Obama to give you the illusion of inclusion. They gave you Barack.
Damn shame.
To let you have your last party before they put us back in Jim Crow. Barack Obama was the grand finale of federal action on behalf of black people.
How's that working out for you?
I don't know if you all know this. We've had 10 presidents since Dr. King's assassination, not counting Lyndon Baines Johnson. We've had 10 presidents since Dr. King's assassination, not including Lyndon Baines Johnson. There was Nixon. There was Ford. There was Reagan. There was Carter. There was Bush. There was Clinton. There was Bush. There was Obama. There was Trump. There was Biden. There was Trump again. 10 presidents since Dr. King, not including Lyndon Baines Johnson. And guess what? Of those 10 presidents, 4 were Democrats. Carter, Clinton, Obama, and Biden. Of those 4 Democratic presidents, of the 10 presidents America has had since Dr. King's assassination, 2 of them were Southern Democrats. Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter. Actually, 3 of them were Southern Democrats, if you include Joe Biden, because technically Delaware was considered a Southern state.
Is he still alive?
Yes, Delaware stood with Abraham Lincoln, but Abraham Lincoln allowed Delaware to keep her slaves. Technically, Delaware is the South. So Biden, a Southern Democrat, Clinton, a Southern Democrat, Jimmy Carter, a Southern Democrat. Of the 10 presidents since Dr. King, only 1 was a Northern Democrat, Barack Obama. The point that I'm making is that even though you had 4 Democratic presidents out of 10 since Dr. King's assassination, most of them were either Republicans or Southern Democrats with Republican values. Let me say that again. Even though you've had 10 presidents since Dr. King's assassination,
a Democrat too.
All of them were either Republicans or Southern Democrats with Republican values. We call them Dixiecrats. Joe Biden, a Dixiecrat. Bill Clinton, a Dixiecrat.
I had it written down.
Jimmy Carter, a Dixiecrat. The only one who don't fit the mold was Hussein Obama. But Hussein Obama was put in the White House to make black people think you have arrived. Hussein Obama was put in the White House to make black people think you have arrived.
Is he lying?
I come on here tonight, brothers and sisters.
Is he lying?
Look it up. You don't know what a Dixiecrat is? Look it up. Did you have social studies class? Did you even go to high school? Anyway, I digress.
No, I can't say that. No. The most important thing that I don't know any of y'all schools. I don't know any of your schools. I don't know where y'all from. But where I'm living at right now, civics is an issue. We should be studying civics. Every school at elementary age, four and on up, should be studying civics. I don't give a damn how you slice it. You should be studying civics. The other thing to study is of course math, because math, science, and civics are the most important things to study.
I digress. I've come on here tonight, brothers and sisters. I come on here tonight to say you need to do two things, and you need to do it soon. I come on here tonight to say you need to do two things, and you need to do it soon. I come on here tonight to say you need to do two things, and you need to do it soon. Number one, get your passport.
No, I'm about to get mine. Oh, sidebar, everyone. These things here, they cost too much. If you get the freaking ones that cost $100, you're a damn fool. If you get these models that cost over $100, you're stupid. Although it's your money, I would rather put it into a regular controller. Why do you have to have such a nice little controller? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Get the white controller, get the black controller or whatever. White, black, red, move on. They got the ones where they got the color and you can see the little thing. Stop. Do you know how much PlayStation 6 is going to be now? It's going to be $700. 6 going into 600 and something with the taxes. With taxes. But that's going to be in 2027. I'm good. Y'all good? I'm old enough now to say I'm good on these. It's just like the iPhone. XRP. Is that on Robinhood? That better not be on Robinhood. Holy shit. Wait a minute. That's $1. No, that's $1 and something. Anyway, I'll look at it later. XRP, that's on Robinhood, right? That's crazy. But sorry about that. Let me continue.
Please get your passport. Get a passport for your husband. Get a passport for your wife. Get a passport for your son. Get a passport for your daughter. Get a passport for your elders. Get a passport for your toddlers. Get a passport for everyone in your family. Black people, listen to me. Get your passport. Things are getting crazy, and they're getting crazy quick in this country. Get your passport and make sure everyone in your family has one in case. We have to evacuate under emergency circumstances. Make sure, Alafia, Baba, I haven't forgotten you, Baba. I will definitely reach out. Alafia. Make sure you have a alternative African country or island in mind that you and your family will escape to in event of an emergency. Make sure you have identified an African country or a Central or South American country or a Caribbean island that is ruled by Africans that you and your family can escape to. I don't care if it's Jamaica. I don't care if it's Nigeria. I don't care if it's Bermuda. I don't care if it's Ghana. I don't care if it's Costa Rica. I don't care if it's Ethiopia. I don't care if it's Panama. I don't care if it's the Congo. But you had better identify your adoptive home in case the American African community has to evacuate under emergency circumstances. Now, for my FBA and ADOS brothers and sisters, I'm a black freedman, but I don't identify with those organizations. I want to know, what is the FBA ADOS plan to help black people as a result of the Supreme Court decision? And if martial law comes to this country and comes to the black community, because you Negroes been running around. You Negroes been running around talking about you haven't left nothing in Africa. You've been running around telling people you have more in common with white Americans than black Africans.
Law enforcement, and even
you've been running around acting like black immigrants were the worst problem you have. What do you have to say now? What does FBA and ADOS have to say now that the Supreme Court has gutted the Voting Rights Act? That they can now legally break up any black voting district in America, making the black vote almost irrelevant. What is your plan to help our people? Because black immigrants had nothing to do with what the Supreme Court did. There are no African immigrants on the Supreme Court. There's no Caribbean African immigrants on the Supreme Court. There's no Canadian African immigrants on the Supreme Court. There's no Central American African immigrants on the Supreme Court. There's no South American African immigrants on the Supreme Court. There's no continental Africans on the Supreme Court. There's no Canadian Africans, no British African, no Australian African immigrants on the Supreme Court. So you can't blame the black immigrants for what just happened. But because you have more in common with white Americans than black Africans, I need to know, what is your plan to save our people?
Before I continue, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Support the channel through either Cash App or Super Chat. I like to thank my supporters who have become members. Thank you very so much. Means a lot. I try to do the best I can for what I've got, which ain't too much, but we work with what we work with. This is a hobby of mine, but this is starting to get to the point where it's starting to get a little bit serious because of where we are in America right now. And what EFI is speaking truth to power. That's because they're Americans, not African. You didn't get the term on what he was saying. He just doesn't use the word African American. Not everybody uses the word African American anymore. and you are African whether you know it or not.
In the event of a crisis. Get your passport, get your passport, get your passport. Also, get you some self-defense. And y'all know what I mean by self-defense. Make sure your self-defense is ready. Make sure your passport is ready. And if you are an African in America who does not live in a predominantly black neighborhood, I think you might want to relocate to a predominantly black neighborhood between now and election day on November the 3rd.
I don't think that would be smart, in my opinion, due to the simple fact is that we can't get along. If they're, let's just say Haitians, let's say Jamaicans, for example, because I love my Jamaican partners. I love my Jamaican partners. I love my Haitian partners. I love my Caribbean partners, bro. I'm I've been breaking bread with my Haitian partners for the last 9 years, and living under them for the last 9 years. I do miss it. I don't miss the high cost of living, because everything is just high costly now. Anywhere that you go, LA, Chicago, New York, DC, everything is up in price. Everything is up in price. Even in the inner cities, everything is up in price. Why? So if you want better, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, right? Because we've been talking the same shit every single 4 years. Right or wrong. We've been talking the same nonsense, the same old rightist, leftist, this whole thing for the past, I don't know, decades. Little changes here, little changes there. But when it comes to Republicans, it's like, whatever. So the next president that you appoint, no matter who it is, you better make damn sure that your voices are heard and your demands have been met. Now, I'm going to tell you, if not everything is going to be heard. You're gonna get about 1, 2, maybe 3 things. I don't know. Let's just say, for example, this would be good. Lower, what was it? What is it? Apartment tax stop? Something? Basically, I don't want to pay another extra $50 a year when it comes to living in an apartment. I don't want it, the stopgap or something. You call it whatever. The cost of living in a house. I don't want to pay no more than what I got to pay. I don't want to pay no more than I got to pay. If they say no to that, you're not a president to me. Let's lower the cost of food. Let's lower these gas prices a little bit. If they are willing to do that, and about that Doge check, anybody get paid their Doge check yet? First, I heard him what he said. He said, we're going to give $5,000 to these working families. I heard it. He said, it was approved by Trump. Months later, we've been waiting and 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 waiting. I look in the mailbox. Where's my Doge check? Nothing. Cereal. No milk. No, I ain't gonna do that.
I'm concerned about the safety of my people in this country between now and Election Day, November the 3rd. So if you do not live in a black community, if you one of those, I live in a white neighborhood, I think I'm better than black people who don't, you better rethink that. You better rethink that. Now, there was a Southern politician who said he wants the Supreme Court to revisit the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment. He wants the Supreme Court to overturn the 14th Amendment. Now, see, I've been teaching on this for years, but y'all didn't want to listen to me. I've been teaching on this for years, but y'all didn't want to listen to me, and I told you.
But you're going to be paying for air tax, rain tax, road tax, depending on where you live, what city or state. So you have to decide what's more important, because they're not going to give you everything. They're not. They're just simply not. Because they're going to complain, oh, we got to pay on our part, da 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 da. Let's get the likes up a little bit more, people. Let's get the likes up a little bit more. But you're going to be paying for everything. I do. Well, like I stated, and look into the history of the next president that you put in. I almost forgot to say that. Before you hire, it's like a hiring process. And there's like millions and millions and millions of people looking into hiring you for a job, looking into hiring this person for a job, whether it be AOC, Jasmine Crockett, whoever. I still stay Jasmine Crockett to this very day because, goddamn it, I want her in office. Either way, peanut butter, no jelly, syrup with the camera. Shut up with that shit. Anyway, any fucking way. Who talks like this? Who the fuck talks like this? Good rapper. I'll validate that. He's a good rapper. These goddamn ad-libs, man. Y'all open up a whole book full of that shit. I'm too old for this shit, man.
Amendment to the Constitution that contradicts the intent of the founding fathers of this country. Not my country, this country. Anything in the Constitution that contradicts the intent of the original founding fathers of America, most of whom were racist, all of whom were racist, and most of whom owned enslaved Africans. All of the founding fathers of America were racist, and most of the founding fathers of America owned enslaved Africans. And the Constitution, which is a pro-slavery document, let's be clear. I hope y'all listening to me. The U.S. Constitution is a pro-slavery document. And according to constitutional law, any amendment in the Constitution that contradicts the intent of the racist, slave-owning founding fathers of this country is automatically unconstitutional. Now, the 13th Amendment ended slavery except as a punishment for a crime. Except as a punishment for a crime.
they get rid of the 14th Amendment, guess what? They're going for the First Amendment. They're going for the 13th Amendment. What is the 13th Amendment? What is the 13th Amendment? Abolish slavery and inventory servitude. Abolish slavery and involuntary servitude. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. It states, wherever slavery is non-voluntary servitude, except as punishment for crimes whereof the party shall have been duly conflicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. I was about to say judication. So if they undercut that, you're back in slavery. Not in chains, people. Not in chains. But every government official owns you. You. The homeless man all the way up to the businessman. The government owns you from the businessman all the way down to the homeless man. Because if you have no rights anymore. They get rid of the 14th Amendment. That's your ass. So let's continue.
Except as a punishment for a crime. Once you go to jail, you are a ward of a state. You are in bondage. You are a slave. That's why our brothers and sisters in prison don't even make minimum wage, because they have been stripped of all rights. They are slaves. They still slave for the corporations in prisons. They are slaves. The prison is a plantation. And the reason they keep so many black people locked up in America's prisons is so we can work for damn near nothing, slaving for America's corporations. The prison system is the new plantation system. They still pick cotton, and they still have their labor exploited by America's corporations.
Who are you talking to?
If
you talking to me, or you're talking
the U.S. government,
Roof, who are you talking to?
is able to force the U.S. Supreme Court to revisit the 14th Amendment, which gives you equal protection under the law. When slavery ended in 1865, black freedmen had no protections.
Yeah, it's Ifatunde.
When the 13th Amendment was ratified in December of 1865, black freedmen had no protections. It wasn't until the 14th Amendment was ratified a few years later that we got some paper protections. The 14th Amendment provides you with equal protection under the law.
Yep.
And the 14th Amendment is what allows for birthright citizenship to exist.
Yep.
It is the 14th Amendment that's supposed to give you due process, the right to defend yourself when you're accused of a crime.
Oh, that's cute.
What
That's
were black
real
people
cute.
between the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment?
Is that what you do?
What was our status in America between the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment, brothers and sisters?
Sad.
That is a question.
That is so sad.
That is a question. What was the status of black freedmen between the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865 and the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1868.
Why don't you do yourself a favor?
3 years later.
Tell Nick Valdez I
Really,
said
2 years
kiss my
later.
black ass.
Because the 13th got passed in the
How's
Senate.
that?
So 2
Don't
years
tell
later,
Nick
for 2
Fuentes,
years,
I said kiss my ass.
we were not
How's that?
citizens of this country. What do you call someone? We weren't immigrants. We weren't citizens. We weren't refugees. So what was the status of black freedmen in America between the 13th Amendment in 1865 and the 14th Amendment in 1868? You wasn't an immigrant, you wasn't a citizen, and you wasn't a refugee. You know what your status was? You were a denizen. Has anybody ever heard of the word denizen? I need you to look up the word denizen, not to be confused with citizen. We were denizens between 1865 and 1868. Let me give you the definition of denizen. Denizen is an inhabitant, resident, or frequent visitor of a particular place, environment, or region. D-E-N-I-Z-E-N. Denizen. Black people were denizens in America between 1865 and 1868. Okay? You were denizen. D-E-N-I-Z-E-N. Now, what is a citizen? Citizen is a legally recognized member of a...
That's funny that you were saying that because I was fucking your bitch in the yard and back in the barn now. That's what Toby was doing. Oh, he took that big old Palouse and put it in, and y'all forced it upon us to put our big old sausage into that cave, bitch. Y'all did that. Y'all did it. Y'all forced it. Or else it was pretty much us, and then you just had us do some incest shit. You had us do some incest shit too. I didn't appreciate that. That's why, and tell Dog the Bounty Hunter, I said, I saw Dog the Bounty Hunter 3 years ago. Sorry, 2 years ago. I want to say, where's your wife at? I forgot she passed away. And then he Dog the Bounty Hunter, I saw him with a new boo thing. I'm like, and she was young too. I'm like, they don't waste no time. They do not waste any time. Remember his wife had them big old Palousas? I'm like, hey, listen, we forgive you for saying the N-word. We do forgive you, but just for clarification, can we come to your house, make sure your wife is at the crib so we can line up?
A sovereign state. A citizen is a legally recognized member of a sovereign state who owes allegiance to the government and is entitled to the protection and privileges. Let me ask y'all a question.
He's
a denizen
than I think.
Is a visitor or a resident.
He's only 5'9".
Or an occupant of a given location. That is a denizen. A citizen is a legal member of a particular state who is entitled to the rights and the privileges of that state. Which definition do you feel fits black freedmen in America today? Which definition do you feel fits black freedmen in America today? Do you think we are citizens, legal members of the U.S., who are entitled to the privileges, rights, and protections of America? Does that sound like us? Or does it sound like we are people occupying a land in which we exercise no rights, privileges, or protections? Dr. Umar, why are you bringing this up? What difference does it make whether we are denizens or citizens? You know why it matters? If the Supreme Court takes up the 14th Amendment and overturns your right to equal protection under the law, if the U.S. Supreme Court takes up the 14th Amendment
be paying taxes, period,
and rules that African people are not entitled to equal protection under the law, you will be stripped of your citizenship
not to pay taxes
that you don't have anyway, and you will be returned to the state of a denizen.
Right.
And if you are returned to the state of a denizen, you are basically a 21st century slave, which also means that the Dred Scott decision is back in full effect. I don't think y'all listening to me.
Still hasn't been abolished yet.
I don't think y'all listening to me. I said if the
still hasn't been abolished yet. That's the reason why they don't respect you. This is the reason why the brother Justin Pearson, shouts out to Justin Pearson. I believe he's out of Alabama. He tried to state his case, and now, because he stated his case, they banished him for even speaking at their meetings. He is banished for even speaking at their meetings. Y'all cooked unless y'all are willing to raise hell. Y'all are willing to raise hell. But I forgot what I was going to say. There's another person who knows just as much and can prove otherwise, that your true slave masters are the ones that gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And they also gutted Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act.
With the affirmative action plan, and when I wrote that plan, they turned around immediately and came up with a thing called Title IX. Because throughout history, every time you try to do something for black folk, they would throw other groups in there to water it down and dilute it and give it to everybody so blacks wouldn't be anything left for black folk. And they come up with Title IX. How are you going to spend those money now since we dictated for black people and they got Title IX? Every county, all 67 of the letter back says any money comes out here, we're giving it to women. Now the penny would go to black folk. No black folk raised Cain. None of them said anything. They went down like that. That's what happened to your money. Because you see, and guess what it's backed by? It's backed by the United States Supreme Court. One of the most racist organizations in America. One of the most racist institutions in America is the United States Supreme Court. And I still see with a total, absolute amazement as to why black folk keep going to the court system. It doesn't make any sense. The deck is stacked by the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court has never ever done anything and benefit black folk. Never. And they aren't going to do it. You've had the first 57 to 58 people appointed as justice to the United States Supreme Court were slave owners. And everything subsequent to the 1860s, they were either white racists or people who were totally indifferent to black folk. They're one of those two, even to the present time. They're either racist, closet racist, or they're totally indifferent to black folk. They don't care about black folk. And what they've done is to make sure that the social construct What was set up in the Constitution about your being property and 3/5 of a human being and non-competitive will stay in existence. The guardians of racism in America is the United States Supreme Court. That's why when the second Constitution was written in the 1860s, and you had a few liberal whites, radical Republicans those days said, we got to correct some of these things that's going on. And they crafted the second Constitution. The second Constitution was made up of the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment. And they also passed two civil rights laws, the 1865 and 1866 civil rights laws. They passed those laws all for black folk, newly freed slaves. They passed it for newly freed slaves. The Supreme Court jumped in immediately. And they used that same little schemes they use today. The first thing they did was said that all those civil rights laws that were passed from 1865 all the way up to the 1880s, about 1889, all those civil rights laws were unconstitutional. Nobody gave them authority to do that. The United States Supreme Court does not have the authority to do what it's doing to you all right now. It doesn't even have the authority. But you don't see that black, you got all these black with law degrees. You see one raising hell about it? The United States Supreme Court does not have the authority to mess over you the way they're messing over you. That's why they've never done anything in your favor. They don't have that authority. Congress is the person that sets the rules and law. They are the elected bodies. Nobody elects anybody to the United States Supreme Court. They're the closest thing to royalty in this country, where they get a lifetime job to do nothing but sit there and mess with people based on their own personal prejudices and get away with it because nobody raises Cain about it. They don't have the authority. And so, but they didn't do anything after the Marlborough and Madison case back in 1803. Then here, jump up to 1857, and here comes a case called Dred Scott. In the Dred Scott case, a black man then was trying to get his freedom, having moved from Missouri to Illinois, and the Supreme Court, it went to the Supreme Court, and Justice Taney ruled in that, being the Chief Justice, says that in the final ruling in the Dred Scott decision in 1857, it said a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. That case, that issue has never been overruled. Well, are black folk progress in America? No, you're not progress. That's why they're shooting you down. That's why they're shooting down a black man every other week in some place in the United States, or beating a black woman. These are just the police alone. Dragging you out of cars, beating black women on the street, shooting black men. Why? Because the Dred Scott decision is still in effect. It's still in effect. That you have no rights because the decision was never addressed. And the real sadness and irony of this, and I look in the newspaper, I look on TV.
This is not to scare anyone. This is reality. The people of the South are literally irritated, not just because of Obama, but because they had to endure a lot of people coming into the United States who do not look like them. This is reality. This is reality. What they're doing with the redistricting the maps. And I had to admit, I myself was pretty ignorant in the facts, some of the facts. But still, I do not believe that there is anyone worthy. That's why they have ambassadors, people. That's why we have ambassadors. Ambassadors, that's a lifeline unless you get impeached. There's a reason why we have 4 years, administrative 4 years. And if you get a second term, that's 8. That's 8 years. You endured 8 years of Obama. Hopefully you don't endure 8 years of Trump. Hopefully. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I don't have an issue with people voting for whoever they want to vote for. Just make sure they do right by you. That's the point. That's the whole point of voting. When I say your vote don't matter, it's because they don't do right by you. They don't even do right by elderly. They don't even do right by elderly people. They promise them one thing, and it's like what George Carlin was saying. It's only a matter of time before your Social Security is fucked. If you're an elderly, if you are retiring, if any of my elders are retiring this year, right? Yeah, and our veterans, correct. And our veterans. Oh, they treat our veterans like shit. Whenever you're in a military base, they treat you like a god over there. Whenever you come back to the United States, oh, you still need a regular job. Oh, when you're in the military, when you have military, unless, I almost forgot, unless you've done your 20. If you've done your 20, you should be straight. If you've done your 20 years and you're about to retire from the military, but people don't want to go forward with their 20. They don't even want to do their 20. All they want to do is just go home. That's all they want to do is just go home. But you have no respect. All you want to do is play with your toys, play with your toys, play with your toys. Play with, your ships. Play with your aircrafts. Play with your big 16 millimeter guns. That's all you care about. He has no idea what he is doing. And we already lost 13 soldiers. We already lost 13 soldiers and more by wounding. All because he doesn't know what he is doing. And you still want him in office? Put Ross Perot in office. I don't care. Get him out. It's hard 4 years. It's hard. Think 20 years. Most people can endure it. Most people can endure it for a year. But the training alone will fuck you up. Am I wrong? The training alone will mess with you mentally and physically, because they're trying to undo you from society and train you up to be their military machine. Right? So you can be mind fucked. But the one thing they forgot is that shell shock mentality. The shell shock, meaning, and they have put different terms for it, PTSD is basically, is shell shock in itself. Shell shock, what was it? Shell shock, battle fatigue, deficit disorder, and then in PTSD. That's all it is. That's all the fuck it is. I have plenty of my friends who had went there and came back, and I appreciate them coming back intact, with their brains intact, with their mental intact. I truly love those people. They're my friends. But this guy, and I have to say, yeah, this is Obama administration too. They all say, you're going to come home, you're going to come home, you're going to come home. They get those who do come home. But what about the rest of them? That's why they want him young. Yeah. But you don't want nobody young in office. You don't want nobody young in Congress. You don't want nobody young in the Senate. You didn't want Jasmine Crockett. You didn't want Jasmine Crockett in the Senate. Just say you didn't. You didn't want Jasmine Crockett in the Senate. Because you don't want her to be the face of the Senate. You didn't want her to be the face. My son hasn't came home in a year. Pray for him. Prayer is a very powerful tool. He'll come home. God willing, he will come home. And I mean that. God willing, he will come home. Because these people are evil. These people are there for their own constituencies. They're there for their own constituencies. War makes money. War is politics. War makes money. War makes profit. And this is the reason why I say you need a strong face. This should be for defense only. You're using it for offense and you're getting a lot of people killed. And while wasting billions of dollars doing it, some that we could be feeding the homeless with. Speaking of Jasmine Crockett, and if you see Jasmine Crockett, if you live in the Texas area, if you live in the Texas, Houston, I think it's Dallas, if she's there, she usually bounces from Washington to Texas because she is a busybody. Tell her that We-On-Loc said, hello, can I get an interview? I'm North Texas. If you see Jasmine Crockett, tell that fine young Congresswoman I said hello. Tell her I said hello. Because we need send her stuff through Instagram. She doesn't even respond on Instagram unless she's doing an Instagram live. That was 2 days ago. Oh well, that's good.
Donald politics in a state that has had a bunch of very pitched.
Probably more that I am supposed to as I've sat here, because y'all bring me so much joy. And let me tell you why. The reason is this. It's because despite this incompetent government, y'all have not backed down. For some people, it is the very first time that they're seeing your faces, but you have been there when no cameras are rolling. Been there for decades, and you are still showing up. The reality is that you are not a child in this moment, but you know that other children are potentially being subjected to something similar in this exact moment. And it is your courage that is contagious. We don't have Congress, we got a bunch of cowards. But your courage is contagious. Think about it this way. One of the things that I really want to clarify, because I have had an opportunity to hear some of your stories and meet with some of you in person and behind closed doors, a lot of people who potentially are not on the right side of history right now.
She gets more than 1,000 letters, and I know the people that work with her, they go through those secretly. You know, it takes a special type of a person that mainly gets there and it says, hey, this person of importance needs to speak with you, and depending on what it is, and blah, blah, blah. Understandable. She's been going through a lot, including a whole bunch of death threats. which is unexcusable for those who are threatening a woman. But needless to say, she's a busybody. But gotta go. The message must come out. The message must get out there to say, we need you to run for presidency, because I feel the need that you are qualified. I'm not saying that Kamala is not qualified. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to get this woman in all. Just imagine. Just imagine. They ain't gonna put this woman in office. Not a straight black woman. No, they ain't gonna put her there. It's too much like right. I could just imagine some of the things that she could be doing, that she could do, especially for the black community and the Hispanic community. And of course, she'll be involved in that other community too, which I ain't gonna even bother to mention. But it's still, what she can do for women, what she can do for women on that side. It'll be tough. It's tough.
One of the common questions that they ask is, how is it that this could have happened to so many people, yet when you were going through your experience, you failed to see anybody else or know anything else, and you thought that you were all alone. And I know that is something you have told me directly. So for the people that are watching and hearing numbers like, man, thousands of girls, but at the same time, you know what? I never saw anything else. Whoever feels most comfortable, if you will, because for me, I don't think that I have that much confidence in the government overall doing what's right for the right reason, but it is the pressure from outside. It is you going out there and being courageous that has made the people rise up. That is why we were able to get some kind of movement. And so I want to build more allies for this movement right now. So if any of you would like to answer that question.
Thank you for that, first of all. But I think it starts with our young people knowing that they need to speak up. Because for me, I think I was pit against a friend of mine that went together to Jeffrey the first time, and he was very good at using the manipulation to hold us there. And so I felt like I couldn't tell anybody, and I didn't tell anybody. So I think it starts with the youngest. You know, if an experience feels off, to have a young person speak out and talk to even just a friend about that, and then say to that friend, hey, is this happening to you? Then the two of them can talk to an adult, and then we're already making change because we're already taking it out of the dark. I think the secrecy was the hardest part in my own abuse, and meeting all of the survivor sisters in September absolutely changed my whole life. And so I do think if you can find community and if you can find the people who boost you, it's really important. But it starts with our youngest survivors.
Thank you so much for that. And in fact, you brought up young survivors. You know, a quick question that I have for each of you is, do you believe that a child has the ability to consent to sex?
No.
Okay. Interestingly enough, most of the time our laws, whether they're state or federal, acknowledge that as well. But I have a transcript and I won't go through it, but it relates to the case that stemmed out of here where they were trying to make it seem as if a child victim was a criminal. That was the focus of their questioning. So it is so frustrating because literally when I was in the state house in Texas, this is one of the things that I actually worked on, was making sure we changed the actual language in the code, specifically as we talked about child victims. So that brings me to kind of where we are on the federal level. And I'm going to wrap up because of the time. I want to make sure we stay on time. My colleagues are nicer than I am. I'm going to be real. They've used words like cover up, choice. For me, it's obstruction of justice. It's real clear. And that's just the lawyer in me. This is pure obstruction. Anyone else that would engage in this type of behavior would be charged with obstruction of justice, yet somehow, because it's the Department of Justice, the ones that are supposed to enforce justice and law in this country, we're not calling a thing, but that's what it is. And so it is my hope that we understand that while these survivors have taken the time to come out, and some of them were outed unlawfully, and absolutely need to have some semblance of justice because of that illegal outing, because our law was very clear, to be clear about that. I need people to understand that we all have a role to play. People in this moment keep asking, what is it that I can do? Well, I'm going to be partisan as well, because they're not being partisan. The Republicans could have shown up today too. They didn't. So let me be clear. I am going to be full on partisan. You have to vote. If you care about this, you have to vote, and you have to understand who is fighting for you. There are certain things that were always a basic kind of standard in this country for what was right. We protected the most vulnerable amongst us. We're not doing that nowadays. We made sure that we believed in quote unquote law and order, but we're not doing that nowadays. It is time to wake up. It is time for us all to do our part, because, again, I'm going to be partisan because only the Democrats decided to show up today. So with that, I will yield.
And with that, I I think that's his immunity should be removed. Well, you can thank Judge Roberts for that one. But I must remove myself. It's Saturday, and I want everybody to be with their loved ones. Wait, what the hell is this? And my birthday is oh, happy birthday. I am about to be with my loved ones in a minute. Let me just make a couple things clear. One, I don't do real long lives. A lot of these people, God bless them, they go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Not me. My biggest one is merely like 2, maybe 3 hours, depending upon what's important. I want to thank you, my man, for the $10 holla. Boy, that is hard work. You worked hard for that. You worked hard. And I truly appreciate you, brother. I truly appreciate you. I will be back tomorrow with another one. And I want all of you to be safe, enjoy your loved ones, do the wife or the girlfriend thing, because that's more important than to have AI capture you instead of you capturing it. Got it? Good. Thank you, my brother, for that 10. I will announce you, and I will announce the members of the stream, and come back with you with another video. Peace.